Hey there, this is Sober Steve. As many of you know, my name is Steve Truesdell. I am a recovering alcoholic, and I decided to make this channel in hopes that I may be able to help somebody, because I understand how difficult it is to be battling an addiction problem. Uh, I had said on my last video that I'm going to address the question, what does somebody do when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired? And I'm just going to kind of bounce all over the place probably with this, because it's really a quick answer. And but I'm going to give you some insight into what I went through. Here's the thing. Since I started this video, this YouTube channel, I've had probably 4 or 5 people reach out to me, which I've really appreciated. I'm hopeful that I was able to offer them something that helped them. But I just want to let you know, if you ever reach out to me, I appreciate it, and it's always going to be anonymous. I'm not going to tell anybody about your problem, or that's why I'm doing this. So please always feel free to reach out to me. Sometimes it helps just to talk to somebody that's been in your shoes, that understands what you're going through. And I'm not here to judge or preach, and I get it. So but I would say, for my millionth time, I'm also not trained in substance abuse counseling or anything like that. I'm just a schmo that decided to get sober many years ago. And I'm passionate about it because it changed my life, and I see the struggle in so many families, and it's so frustrating. And it's really heartbreaking, how many people have an alcoholic problem, or a drug addiction, or whatever it might be. And it just, I read some stats a couple days ago, because I've been thinking about it since I've been doing this channel a little bit more. What is the success ratio? And so I read some different studies, and I'm just going to give you kind of round numbers, but it said that the study that I read was from the national. It was a federal addiction site, and it was from it was the United States, and it was a national study on alcohol addiction. And people that, it was really hard to track, they said, but people that went into like an outpatient rehab like I did, the success ratio I think was 14%. The people that maintained sobriety for a prolonged period of time. And then inpatient, I think, was 18%. People that tried to quit with just AA was like 9%. And then people that just tried on their own, it was like 1% or something. So those aren't very encouraging numbers. And so my path was outpatient recovery rehab center. And I remember, even when I went there in the first group session, he said, look to your left, look to your right. By the end of this, or no, I think he said 30 days after we're done here, only one of you will still be sober, and just by statistics. And so that was 30% after 30 days. It's mind-boggling how difficult it is. It's something that seems so simple, So the only thing I can just hammer home is get help. If you have a problem, get help. There's no easy answer. It's hard work. It's stressful. It's terrifying. It's humbling. It's humiliating in some ways. It's every emotion that you feel is what most of us feel. Like I always say, it was like turning myself in, like I was a long lost fugitive, and I finally just said, here, take me. I give up. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it on my own. I can't play the game anymore. So but when I went into to rehab, I made the decision, and maybe I'll do a whole segment on this sometime, because it was pretty interesting. But when I made the decision to go to rehab, which, by the way, a side note, like I finally decided that I needed the help, and I called, and our insurance at the time, I think I went to Henry Ford Behavioral West Park Center in Dearborn, and the lady was really nice, and I said, I can't control my drinking, and I think I have a problem, and I want to talk to somebody. Oh, that's so great, you made that choice. Well, we have Thursday the 19th or something. And so it was like over a week away. And I'm like, here's the Alcoholic Mind. I'm like, sweet, that's a week. You know what I mean? I would tell the wife, hey, I need help. I can't control my drinking by myself. So my appointment's next Thursday. So that gives me from now till next Thursday. It was like the farewell tour. Like every drinking buddy I ever had, I made an appointment with that night. And it was sick. I went out every night and just got toasted. And it was like a free pass, like a hall pass or whatever. And then when I went into rehab, I remember I filled out the little form in the lobby and everything, and I was like, how often do you drink? How much do you drink? And I lied, which is so stupid. It's like, okay, you made the appointment, you're going to pay for this, but you're lying. Like I probably cut in half what my normal consumption was. And I don't know why I made the decision to do that, but it was kind of embarrassing, and I just lied about it. So I had an hour meeting with the intake counselor, who ended up to be my therapist for 7 years. His name was Joe. He was a recovering alcoholic, and just if there's such thing as an angel, he was my angel, and I love that man. I mean, he put in extra work on me, extra time. He really cared, it wasn't just his job. I mean, he cared, and it was tough. So I just remember we met for an hour, and I had lied on my responses, and he said, Steve, do you have any questions? And I said, yeah. I said, do you think I'm an alcoholic? And I remember, because he was very serious looking. I mean, he actually laughed a little. He's like, he goes, no, he goes, I know you're an alcoholic. And he said, I'm so glad you came here. He said, because this is going to change your life. And man, was he right. And, the first few weeks was living hell. And I had trouble sleeping. I couldn't get, every hour I wanted to drink. It was so tough. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it, but after like 3 weeks of no alcohol, I would go into the place like every night after work. It was like without patient, like I went to work every day. It was a little bit tough on my family because, with my ex-wife, we had a 2-year-old, and I wasn't around for, a couple months, hardly at all. So she was kind of left to handle that parenting on her own. But it was, for the long term, it made me a way better dad. And so, anyway, it was really, really tough. And then like I'd say it was maybe three weeks, something hit me where it was like, I was at work, and for the first time, I wasn't dreading going after work. I was looking forward to it. And I was like, holy shit, I'm looking forward to this. Like I was doing it for me. It was like I was noticing my life change, and I was getting, I had gotten really, really heavy. I was bloated, and I never exercised, other than the 12-ounce curls, I used to say that all the time. But my body started to change. I started to feel healthier. I was walking, and I think I started to ride my bike at that time a little bit. And it was like, wow. My time with my son was so meaningful. Wow, the time that I did have, and it was just getting so cool. And so I just want you to know, like, it's hell. There's no getting around it, but then it's not. And it just becomes, if you make the decision to get help and you actually give it, I'd say give it 90 days. Don't give it, a week. Don't give it 2 days and say, oh, this is not for me. And that, that's a cop out. But if you get yourself help and you give it 90 days and you remain sober for 90 days and you're working whatever program they've got you on or whatever you decide to do, and if you don't feel better, you will. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your life. It's going to improve your relationships. It's going to improve your health. It's going to improve your self-esteem. Those are givens. I've never met anybody that it didn't improve those three things. It's probably going to improve your job performance and your career. It's going to improve your mental health. I mean, it's going to improve so many things. And that's what's frustrating for your loved ones that know that. Excuse me. This is now my drink of choice. I know it's bad for me. We'll have a whole segment on this maybe sometime. I drink these things like beer, like I used to drink beer. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me. So, but that's what's frustrating for your loved ones is they know that and they see that and they're like, this is a great person that needs help and they refuse to get help. And so, friends and family have to do their own thing because they oftentimes enable us or are codependent to us, and that's not good for them. They have to take care of their own thing. That's where counseling is so huge because it teaches you a lot of times, like a spouse of an alcoholic, or it's usually a spouse, a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. They will end up being codependent and enable you, and then they tend to blame their problems on the alcoholic, but they have their own problems too. And there's a blur there where it's really a family dynamic, and with parents enable, and it's just I learned a lot about that in counseling. It's very interesting, and I want to be careful what I say because I'm not a counselor, but I will say with certainty that alcoholism is a family disease, and it isn't just the alcoholic that has a part in it. I mean, it just isn't. So you learn all those things. It's frustrating for people that have been in recovery a long time too, because we know how awesome it is on the other side, and you come to us and ask us our opinion, and then you don't do it. So, my opinion is very simple. Get help. Go see a counselor, go to an AA meeting, get some kind of help, because it's too massive to do it yourself. I mean, I'm sure there's success stories out there. Somebody decided, I'm going to just give it up one day and they lived happily ever after. That's the one in a million. So, I don't recommend that path because, as I mentioned, even if you take the recovery path, the outpatient rehab path, you have a 14% chance of success or whatever it is. So it's tough. It's a very tough disease. And all I can promise you is if you get the help and you give it the 90 days plus, your life will get better. And why wouldn't you want to try that? I've never met anybody in recovery that wishes that they didn't get sober. It's just not, it's like exercise, I hate the treadmill, and I don't do the treadmill a lot, but I mean, I hate it, but I've never got on the treadmill and got done and wish that I wouldn't have done it. You know what I mean? I never get off the treadmill and then say, oh, I wish I would have never done that. No, then I feel good. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did that. That's why I don't do it more often. It's the same thing. But the thing is, if you don't do the treadmill, it's not necessarily going to have a negative effect on your entire life or, your family's happiness and stuff like alcohol does. So, anyway, I hope that helped some, just hearing my story again with regards to what I did and, my advice as to what you should do, but get help. You won't regret it. Thanks for watching. This was kind of a heavy one, I guess, but man, it's so important. Like, take that first step. You're thinking about it. If you watch this far, you're thinking about it, or me and you're just interested to see what a fool I can make myself. But it's like, if you actually think you have a problem and you watch this far, do it. Get help, because you obviously, it's in your head. You can't do it alone, and you shouldn't have to. And you're not a bad person. I don't care what you've done. Your behavior could suck. Maybe you've done bad things. You're not a bad person, and you deserve it. You deserve the help, and it's going to make you better. Thanks for checking out my YouTube channel, and we'll talk to you the next time.